poem is sent successfully. So hold on, I will check if I get the poem in my email and I will show you guys. And this is brilliant, right? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can get started with vibe coding. Okay. So right now I'm in VS Code and I just want to show you like a small tool that I've built with vibe coding completely. And just to let you guys know, I'm not a developer. I'm a WordPress developer, if that really is something. So I build websites on WordPress, and that's as far as my development knowledge goes. Okay, so I can host stuff on like a normal shared hosting environment, and I can just build websites. I don't really have extensive knowledge of coding. So without further ado, I just want to show you about my vibe coding experience and my journey. And I also want to teach people how they can get started with vibe coding as well. So let me just show you a tool that I made. Okay. So the software is already made. It's kind of a YouTube content pipeline engine. Uh, so I've just told it to start the server. I actually have a batch file that can start the server as well, but I want to do everything hands free, like as if any person without any tech knowledge or development knowledge can really build stuff. And I am a living example of that. And this is not done with Lovable or Replit or any of these very fancy, app development vibe coding platforms. I'm just using Claude Code and I'm using it inside VS Code uh, and in PowerShell. So it took me some time to get used to it, but trust me, guys, once you understand, it's very easy. And once you start getting the hang of it, there's nothing like this. The entire experience is very liberating. Okay, so there we go. Okay, this is called the YouTube video pipeline engine. It's one of the many software that I have want to launch under the umbrella brand of AI Freedom Club. That I am thinking about is something a project that I am trying to run. Now you can see that I've given myself lifetime access to the tool, which is fun because I just made this tool and it's not really a public tool, right? So what does this software do? I can, again, this video is not about what this software does, but I want to show you what I've done so that you get an idea before we actually start going into how to vibe code and how to get started with it. Okay. So in this tool, what I've done is I've actually created multiple things, okay? From identifying trends on YouTube to actually doing keyword research and creating clusters for topics, all can be done inside this tool. So each of these, so first things you can see is, let's say there's a trend finder, okay? I can just come in here and I can actually do discover topics and I can do find trending topics. It's going to go and find similar or trending topics that is going to get in the last 24 hours to 7 days. And based on these topics, I can select something and I can take it to my clusters or, like ahead so that I can record videos. So in the keyword cluster section, you can see that I have identified different types of topics that I want to create content on. So if you click on a cluster, you can see it will show you the different words that are there in the cluster, and it will give you idea, it will generate video topics for you which you can use to create videos. Now if you come in here, let's say there many different like clusters are there. Fast track to 1,000 subscribers, for example. So you can see that all the different keywords are here, all the different video topics are given with individual keywords and things like that, and you can approve something and you can create a project, right? So then inside the project section, what happens is, let's say this one, okay? There's this complete topic that's there, right? So You can research, you can create the script, you can plan your complete prerequisites for the video, like what are the different things you would need to record the video. You could create a recording guide, which is like a sidebar that will always be with you when you're recording, so it can give you good prompts or help you with things like to keep things structured. Then you can also create a Gamma presentation, and you can create your entire YouTube metadata like title, meta descriptions, and descriptions and stuff like that, right? So let's see. uh, I'd go to a particular topic. Let's say this one, okay? Because I had already generated the grammar presentation for this. So I can actually go to files and I can show you what a sidebar or recording guide looks like, right? So this is kind of what the recording guide looks like. And I can just put it on the side of a video like this. And I can use it to kind of go through the video while just keeping things structured and letting people know what is what and things like that, right? That's the recording guide. Along with that, you also have the Gamma presentation, which is completely being generated programmatically, right? No button was clicked, no work was done. Everything was done just by prompting. And you can see that complete Gamma presentation is also made. Okay, this entire presentation was completely made via the app. Okay, so it's using a bunch of APIs. It's using this entire software is using OpenRouter. It's using like Claude Sonnet, Perplexity. It's using the YouTube data API. It's using the Gamma API, and it's piecing together this entire ecosystem like a complete system, right? Like a conveyor belt that goes from idea to your entire plan, like takes your entire plan and actually gives you a presentation that you can record on YouTube, right? Or you can give online present or whatever it be, right? So this is the entire system that I've made, and it is a multi workspace system which you can have different workspaces and things like that. So let me just take you to the settings, and you can see inside the settings you have OpenRouter, Gamma, YouTube AI, prompts, all the different prompts that the system is using. You can configure that. About my channel, things that I never want to talk about. You can even export the entire stuff. So all this was done purely with vibe coding, and I'm not a developer. I don't have a single bone in my body that can code, if I were to tell you this. Okay, so this is something that I have done. Now, what I'm going to show you today is I'm not only just going to show you how to vibe code, but I'm also going to show you how to do it in the best way possible. In the best, what are the best, uh, some of the best things that I have learned over time, which can really speed up your progress with the stuff that you're doing so that your output is good. And my choice for vibe coding tool is Claude Code. So I'll also help you understand how to install it and get started with it. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into the video. First things first, I want to make sure that if you're getting started with vibe coding with Claude, you need to install certain things on your computer one time so that you're able to use it, right? So you must have like the latest version of Visual Studio Code, that is Microsoft tool. You can just search it online and download it. Once you have Visual Studio Code, let me show you. I've made a guide. So I've created this complete artifact with Claude itself. It's a guide on how to use Claude Code with VS Code. So I will be sharing this guide in the YouTube description as well, so that people can access it. But for the sake of this presentation, let's quickly just go in. Okay. So once you, let's say, go inside Claude, the VS Code, you can create different folders or like things like that from the file section itself. Okay, so what I usually do is I usually have like one folder on my computer that's dedicated to Claude Code and everything with Claude Code, right? So I just named it Claude Code, and inside that I have all the different projects that I have been working on. So that's there. So once you create that, you can just go and find that empty folder directly from here and you can open it. Okay, so right now I've opened the Cloud Code practice folder, and that's done. Okay, after that you want to open the terminal. Okay, so just click on terminal and new terminal, And once you click on new terminal inside the folder, it should directly just open the terminal where you need it. Okay. Few things to keep in mind. When you are inside a terminal, this is where all the coding happens, right? Now, if you, let's say, wanted to go to the folder called Claude Code, okay, and I want to get outside this, okay, so I can just do cd dot dot. It goes back. If I want to go back into the folder, I can do cd Claude Code Practice, and it goes back into the folder, right? So once I'm here, the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I have the latest version of Node.js npm installed, and then I have to install the latest version of Claude Code as well. And once that is installed, then I can just log in and I can authenticate via API or my own subscription. Okay. So I'm right now on the Claude Code $200, the Claude Code Max plan. Uh, I started using it and I've been so addicted to it that I thought that $200 per month as a subscription is something that I didn't even think that I could afford, to be honest. But once I started using it, like it's just been so addictive that I haven't let it go, and I don't continue. I want to continue using it. So that's pretty surprising that uh, it's an expensive subscription, but with what it can do, I think it's absolute bargain. So let's go in. And in this tool, you will probably see that we'll have to check certain things. Okay, so you come to your this thing, and in your PowerShell, you will type Node version. In case you don't have Node installed, then you will be able to see that Node is not installed, and you'll also see the npm version. So for me, I have the latest versions installed already, but I will still guide you in a way that allows you to use your own stuff, right? So you will do winget as well. Winget is also installed. So Winget is something like a utility that will allow us to do all the installation and stuff directly from PowerShell, and we don't have to go to different websites and download things and install it separately. I'm like super lazy when it comes to vibe coding, so I'm trying to teach you in the same way. Okay, so you'll check the versions of these three things. If they're not there, that's fine. Then, as depending on what was not there, let's say Winget was not there, you would just go in and type this. Okay. So first things first, if Winget, for example, wasn't there, then you would actually have to go to the Microsoft Store, and inside the store, you could just look for App Installer, or type Winget also. Winget. You can type Winget. So you have this Winget. Just install these two versions. Like I have already installed it via the CLI, so I don't need to install it, but you can install them. And once it's installed, you can just restart your PowerShell. So you just restart your VS Code again and go back to the terminal, and then you will just copy these codes. Okay, so you do that, and it'll possibly check found an existing package, so it's already satisfied. I don't need to do it, so I'll cancel it. Otherwise, you can continue with it. Same thing, you will just follow along and you will make sure that Winget is installed. Now, once Winget is installed, the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure you set the execution policy also. Because if you want to have a hands-free installation process, then without really having to do much, you will have to make sure that you come in and you paste this as well. Okay. Once you paste it, it's going to ask you yes and no. Just follow along the prompts and complete it. Once that is done, again, I'm on Windows, so I will follow the Windows process. So understand this, guys. In case this does not work, then for that reason, you would need to set up the security policy. Okay. So if you get an error or something during this process, you'll get a security policy thing, and you can just enter this and then restart your VS Code and then go back and enter these one by one, and you should be good to go. Okay. Once that is completed, now it's time to install your Claude Code. Okay. So I'll come in here and I'll do npm install Anthropic Claude Code, but mine is already installed, so it'll say, you know, it's already installed, so it's not really giving me an error or anything like that. But I can check, and if I do Claude version, I can see the latest version of Claude is already installed. So 2.0.31 is the latest version. And once Claude is installed, that means I am good to go. I can just start a new terminal and I'm ready to start vibe coding with Claude Code. Okay, this is good. So one thing, guys, it's this guide is really helpful. So you just make sure that you go through this guide in more details, because I cannot cover every bit of information about Claude Code. So this guide would really guide you with all the different steps and all the things that you can do, understanding the code, different tutorials, different best practices, and things like that. It's amazing. It's some of the things that even I've learned myself. I have included it in as much detail as possible in the guide. So if you go in the best practices section, for example, best practices, there it is. You can see development workflows by technology, Python development, how to get started with Python development. All of this is given in a lot of details. And one thing that I would tell you at this point is, do not feel overwhelmed. Even though I am not a developer, I don't understand much about Python or Node.js or any of these technologies, right? But your willingness to get past this stage and understand how you can be a director of, coding. So person who knows what needs to be done, but they don't know what tool stacks will be used. Okay, think of yourself like this and just go into it like head first and learn it along the way. Okay, that is the best way to learn vibe coding. Okay, so once you're inside this, you can just use basic commands like, let's say, mkdir, make directory, that is, make directory test. And if you create a make directory, then you do cd test. You can see that I'm in the test directory. I can do cd dot dot. I can come back. I can do Claude. Okay, so when you're starting Claude, once your Claude is installed globally on your PC, you can literally run it on any folder. Okay, but the first time you're running Claude, you want to make sure that you're creating separate folders for each chat, just like you would open a new chat in Claude, like Claude or Chat GPT. When you're starting on a new project, you would open a new folder when you're starting a new chat, because every folder contains things about its own project. Okay, so keep that in mind. And when you're starting with Claude, you want to make sure that you write Claude hyphen hyphen verbose. Okay, so okay, my spelling is mistake. Claude verbose. And there you go. Claude is installed, and first time you log in, actually, if I actually just log out, okay, for a second, and let's say you're logging in for the first time, when you do Claude verbose, you're going to get this option. It's going to give you an option for dark mode, light mode, colorblind friendly, and all of this. So choose the right mode based on what works best for you. So I like dark mode a lot. And whether you want to go with the subscription or you want to go with the uh, API, let's say API based billings, in case you don't want to pay, like commit to a $200 plan, and you want to take it for a spin without really having to pay $200, then you can just use the Anthropic console with API, which can be great to at least test it out. And I would say keep $10 to $20 in your API credit usage if you plan to use it for 1 or 2 days, so that you can get a good feel of it. Okay, let's say I want to use a subscription. I just do that and I click on it. It will take me to my web-based version. I can authorize it and I'm logged in. Now once you're logged in, use recommended settings, no issues. Okay, so once you're logged in, you're inside the project. It's time for us to actually build something out with vibe coding. Okay, so as my first test project, I want to create a AI poem generator for kids. Okay, which will kind of be like a form So parents can actually select different things based on the kid's age, their preferences, and stuff like that. And they can even give some like notes as to what kind of poem they really want. And they can select from a lot of different options, and it will automatically generate the poem for them. Okay, let's say this is the thing. And finally, I want to send this to the parent in the email. Okay, so this is the complete tool that we are planning. The plan is, let's say that the first screen will itself be like a form. Okay, the parents can fill all the preferences, age, different things that they like, etc., and then submit a form. And based on the form, the poem will be generated. I don't know why it's, oops. Let me just see if I can turn it around. Fuck that. Yeah. Okay, so the poem will be generated, and they have the option to send to email. Okay, so what we'll be using is we'll be using OpenRouter. We'll be using OpenRouter. We'll be using Railway to host the app, and we'll also be using API key. We'll be using resend.com for email. This is for hosting the app and database, and this is for the AI integration. Okay, so I'm going to do all of this in this video. I'm going to show you how we can set it up with vibe coding. All right, so few things to keep in mind. Some of the things that I like to do is I like to always create guides. Okay, so let's say I want to use OpenRouter. Okay, I want to create a guide for OpenRouter. I want to create a guide for Resend. I want to create a guide for, let's say, Railway. Okay, so what I'll do is, before actually start development, you should start getting into the habit of creating guides and extensive guidelines on different things like whatever you will be using. Okay, so let's say you don't know what you will be using, right? So the first thing you want to start off with is just discuss with an application. Hey, I am a noob vibe coder and I want to build this. What should I be using? What are the best, easiest, tech friendly, like nerd friendly, or newbie friendly setups that I can be doing? And it'll give you things like DigitalOcean or Railway and Gemini and all of these different tools. You can start understanding slowly what these tools are one by one, and literally offload all the work to AI. Okay, that's what I do. That's what I've done so far. Okay, so anyways, let's just close this and let's come here. I'm going to go to railway.com. This is where you know I will be shipping the entire app. I'm going to open GitHub. This is where I want to make sure that I also publish my apps. So I just want to connect it to GitHub directly from the start so that it can actually have different versions of it and can control versions and things like that. And I will go to OpenRouter, which is required. So I'll go to OpenRouter. I'll also open resend.com. So I have Railway, OpenRouter, resend.com. Most of other things are already there. Okay. So starting off with, make sure you have accounts in all of this. Make sure you have a GitHub account. It's free to get, and you don't need to know how to use it. Once you've installed Cloud Code, it will do everything for you if you at least have the accounts. Okay. So just say that I have the accounts and that's it. Okay. Then the next thing that I will do is uh, guide to using railway in Claude code. Okay. Deploy Claude code on mobile. Let's say I'll take this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to search for something and I'm going to just whatever it be. So I'm giving you an example so that you can understand and you can pick it up. Okay. So let's say this is Claude code on mobile. Just copy this entire thing, create multiple guides on different things that we might be needing later and store in markdown formats for us in a folder called guide. Okay, I'm just going to dump all the content here. Cloud code CLI commands. Just going to copy this, paste it here. Railway MCP server experimental. I'm going to copy and paste it here. Okay, I'm going to do a railway CLI guide. Using the CLI is there GitHub CLI guide. CLI, again, I've come to know is command line interface. Okay. So what that essentially means is there are multiple ways to use tools, right? So at this point, what I'm doing is I'm gathering information like a wild human being. Okay. I'm just gathering information about different things that I might be requiring. I'm going to put everything inside AI and I'm going to tell it to organize and store it. Okay. I can go inside these tools and I can actually go inside these tools and use them. Okay, I can go to the dashboard. I can create different servers. As you can see, I've experimented a lot at this time. So I am starting to get my own confidence with these things. But I can do it right now because I let it do the initial bit and then I figured out how it was doing and then I could just participate or I could let it guide me. Okay. So same thing, the CLI would allow me it to connect directly to my account on Railway and do a lot of things that I don't have to do it manually. Okay. That's what it is. It's a command line interface that will directly allow Claude Code to interact with my Railway account, to my GitHub account, directly from PowerShell itself, which is going to be extremely important if we want to ship our apps. Okay. Claude Code will be really nice if you want to build something locally and just store it, and then that just stays on your computer. But today, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to build you an AI poem generator that will actually be an application that can live on a website. People can come to it, people can fill their forms, and people will get their own emails in their own emails with the generated poems. Okay, so that's what we are doing. So I'll just, like dump in a lot of stuff here using the CLI. I will copy this entire thing again, paste it. Then I will go here. MCP server was not required, but okay, it's fine. GitHub CLI is there. Again, I just hope that, it's not GitHub CLI information is there. It has a lot of options. Okay, so I'm just going to copy all of these things. Many of it might already know. If it doesn't know, I'll eventually keep building on top of it. Okay. So I just told it to right now, I just gave it all this information and I just said, you know what? Go in and create knowledge based documents. You can create these knowledge based documents inside Claude Code. You can also create it in your Claude account, right? And once you create it, you can just store it inside like a markdown file. Okay. And then once the markdown files are there, you can just bring it inside your project and it will stay like a knowledge base for you in your project, or you can just carry it to different projects. Okay. So you don't have to teach every time the same things to AI, right? So it will basically ask you for permission, guides, directory, railway deployment, GitHub CLI, Cloud Code usage guide, SSH and remote development guide, MCP server integration guide. I have given it more information than it needed. I'll do that, but I'll also come in here and I need to give the open router as well. So once I'm logged into open router, let's say I'm going to use Google Gemini Flash 2.5. Let's say I'm going to use Google Gemini 2.5 Flash, not Nano Banana, but the light preview for creating articles. I'm going to copy this API documentation from here till here, and that's it. This is all the documentation that it needs to have. Open router. So whenever it gets stuck, and it'll give you like these options, right? Save file to continue. Do you want to make this edit to railway development guide? Yes. Or second is yes, allow all edits during the session. I am a complete noob and I can't care less. I will just go and click, do not ask me shit. Just do whatever you're doing, okay? And that's it. That's how I vibe code, guys. Literally, over time, you're gonna get your own confidence. But till that doesn't happen, just don't be afraid to break anything. You're not gonna lose anything. So open router guide. I want to use the Gemini model. Okay. So you do that. Now it will tell you to create an API key. I will create the API key, but before I do that, let me just hold on to it. Okay. So now it's going to be acting this weird and it's trying to do a lot of things, and you have nothing to do. Just hold on till it actually completes the work. In case your command prompt crashes or your VS Code crashes completely, don't worry, guys. You can just go into your VS Code, open terminal, make sure you log into that directory where you are supposed to be. Okay, and once you are in the directory, just type Claude. Uh, you will type this. You will type Claude hyphen hyphen verbose hyphen hyphen continue. That's it. Okay. If you type this, you're going to continue exactly from the same place where you left off, but you need to be in the right folder for that to happen. Okay. Now, while this is happening, I'm going to go in and I'm going to talk to Claude about application, about the application that I'm trying to build. And I'm going to create like a markdown file that kind of explains the application. Okay. To Claude. Okay. This is a good way to think about it. Okay. All right, so I am like a completely noob vibe coder, and I'm just trying to create a application that is an AI poem generator. Okay, it's going to be having a nice user interface. I'm going to talk about this application, and you're going to create the complete documentation for this application. Okay, so I'm going to be using railway.com for hosting this application. I'm going to be using OpenRouter for the AI integration. I'm going to be using recent.com for sending the emails to the parents who generate the poems, and I'm going to use GitHub for obviously version controlling and also connecting it with Railway so that GitHub and Railway both are synced together, and that's kind of it. Now, what do I think? What is my plan for this poem generator? My plan is very simple. I want a front end form to be there for the parents where they can select about their kids, their age, the preferences. Lots of options will be there for parents to select different types of poems and different kind of words, and also a small section where they can add their own note, and that itself will be taken and along with a custom prompt that will be an expert in poem generation will be sent, like that from the backend it will be sent to to whatever, like let's say we are using Google Gemini Flash or whatever AI we are using, it will be sent to that AI via OpenRouter, and then the response will be received and it will be shown to the parents on the next page. Okay, once the parents like the response, they can actually regenerate the poem also if they want. If they like the response, they can just send it to their email, and resend.com will be used for their email. Now this is the entire flow. Now before you actually finalize this and create the documentation for it, don't create the code. The code will be done by Claude Code later. Okay, you can ask me all the clarifying questions right now, I'll answer them, and then based on that you can generate the documentation for it. Okay, so this is exactly what I do. I talk to AI. I just blurt out whatever I know. Now, obviously, for you, if you're starting out, you might not be knowing all these terms like railway and GitHub and all of these things, and that's completely fine. So, start from where you are and keep asking it questions to the point where you can talk like me. For example, few months back, I would not be able to say the difference between these railway or GitHub. Okay, now I can say it because I just invested some time into it and figured out what these things do. Because at the end of the day, if you really want to get the benefit of vibe coding and be able to do stuff, you will still need to know what it's called, what are things called, or how things are done, right? So now, let's say it'll ask me a lot of questions. Okay, I'm going to take all of these questions. I'm going to go to a notepad, and I'm going to answer these questions right now. Okay. Uh, User account authentication, history of generated poems. Nope, no user account. No, no user account. Just a simple form that sends the email to the email on the form. Okay. Nope, not required. We are creating a simple app, right? Email address for later use. Yes, in the front end form. I don't know what stateless means. I'm assuming that there's no login state. Okay. Age ranges, age 5 to 15. Okay. All styles are given as options. Theme styles are given as options. Give as options. Give as options. Yes. Yes. Can allow to modify inputs. Email functionality. Yes. Simple header, footer, and poem. Nice emoji if works. Yes. Simple. White label branding. Nope. Nope. Uh, no. Free. Yes. Yes. Should be mobile responsive. So as you can see, I was not able to answer all the questions, and that's fine. But whatever I can answer, I just answered, and I will give it back to the Claude, right? Meanwhile, it's been working really hard and it's been creating all the different guides, right? OpenRouter, GitHub, XYZ, right? Some more clarifications. You didn't specify which one you want to use. Since you are a beginner, you want to keep things simple. Yes, keep things simple for me. To database for email storage. You can store it in the backend as well. Uh, right now, we just want to build the app. So let's just, no need to store it. Three, okay, let's just store it. Store it in the backend for later. Three, stateless explanation. Thing between visits, no login history, correct? Yes, stateless. Four, child's name. Yes, can ask. Optional. State 5, parent's name. Yes. Custom note field. Mention parents can add. Yes. Yes. AI can consider it. Correct. 6, 7. Open router model. Google, Gemini, Flash. Yes. No. Just mention it. Rest. Let Claude code do itself. Okay. So it is doing that. And right now it's been doing all the guides and stuff like that. Okay. So at this point, if I were like a previous me would have just started on with the work because I have a documentation, I have created some guides, given a little bit of information like in a hurry, but we can still start working, right? But what I would do is I would take a step back and I would ask it to configure a few more things for this project. Okay. Okay, I want you to configure Claude agents and Claude skills inside the Claude file. Make agents for front end, make agents for back end, make agent for quality assurance and remembering all the lessons we learn as we go. Make one agent for maintaining a to-do list that is always up to date and short. Okay, so there will be two parts of the to-do list. One is the current progress and second is all the past tasks. It's created so that the to-do JSON files do not become so big that we can't, that Claude code cannot open and read it. Okay, so we are creating Claude agents and skills inside the thing. Okay, also give it knowledge of the guide folder, and this is done. So let's say the AI prompt generated document is done. I'll download it and I can bring here and I can dump it here. Copy path, and this is the documentation for the first app that we are building, all this should be also mentioned in the Claude.md so that it's aware of everything properly. Okay. So what I've done is I've basically dumped some guides about different things. I've created the documentation, and this is the Claude thing that it will maintain. Okay. So I'm asking you to create a Claude.md file with proper agents and skills all connected so that this app will be functioning in the best way possible. Okay. So I'll do that. Now it's going to obviously go in and start reading everything, and which is fine because at the end of the day, uh, we want it to be like properly knowledgeable about everything, and whenever it gives asks you for permission, just give it all the permission that it requires. And you can see that it's creating agents, commands, knowledge, skills, to-dos, all of it is going to create. Now this .cloud folder is what will be kind of its centralized knowledge base that it will always refer to whenever it starts an instance. Okay. As you go, your project can become bigger and bigger, and you'll have lots more folders like guides and this and that will be there, and it might lose context of what is there in which folder. But if the .cloud folder is maintained and up to date, it will constantly get the idea about what progress it has done, how it's working, what are the lessons it's learned, what are the to-dos and things like that. It has been mission critical for me in terms of being able to get the best outputs and actually completing my vibe coding projects. Okay, not just having it like localized apps, but being able to take it online and publish it, right? So I'm just doing that. And as you can see, it's already starting to create the organization, the app structure, components, libraries, all of those things. So it's creating the backend, a front-end agent configuration, back-end agent configuration, create the QA and lessons learned agent configuration, to-do management agent. So when it has agents, if it is going to do a task and it knows that there's a better agent to do the task, it will assign that task to the different agent itself automatically. Okay, so having creating different types of agents before you start your project can be like really good in terms of making sure that you are delegating and creating a team of workers who are all good at certain tasks and have certain skill sets, right? So you're not making somebody who is just thinking about front end to suddenly do back end. Okay, the front end person is doing the front end, but when it comes to the back end, it is delegated to the back end agent, right? And you can clearly see the amount of tokens that are being consumed. So till now, 73,000 tokens are consumed, and the context limit on Cloud Code Max is 150K. So there's still a lot of tokens that can be used. This kind of breakdown, if you are able to do this kind of breakdown, or at least you will have much higher success rates with your vibe coding projects. And if you are going to add more features and things like that, it's going to be a lot more easier to do because you have version control. So in case you do something where you make a mistake and the app breaks, you can just go back to a previous version and start from there again. One more thing that I will actually mention, and actually I will also write, is we'll also create an agent for managing secrets. Okay, as we are like not professionals, right? It developing applications with coding is a very it can be very risky if you don't know how you're tackling things, or if let's say your private API keys or things that are not supposed to be exposed to the internet are actually exposed, right? Then it can cost you a lot of like money as well, because somebody can just misuse your API key and just grow your like bill, right? It can increase your bill a lot. So you have to be very careful. That's why we'll also create one more agent that will be the agent that will make sure that no sensitive data is pushed to GitHub. Okay. and we maintain a separate .secrets folder, and we'll create a .get ignored file right now, and I'll tell you what a get ignored file is as well. So let's just let it just complete everything what it's doing. Meanwhile, I will just write something here. Okay, make sure to create one more agent for managing secrets like API keys, database URLs, etc. And make sure that it is secure so that it's get ignored and not shared publicly ever. All such sensitive information should be stored in the .secrets folder where the agent can access and store the information, and Claude can use it, but it's never pushed to GitHub. I'll just copy this and I just add it. Because we'll be dealing with like recent API key, GitHub verification. We'll be connecting GitHub to railway.com. We might have authorization code. We'll have our database URLs. All of these are very sensitive, right? So we will need to share it with Cloud Code so that it can do the work for us, but we can't let it just get into GitHub or like be shared online somewhere publicly where it can actually become a threat for us. So we have to be very careful. I know this is a very tedious process. It's a little bit slow as well, but I've done so many projects with vibe coding. I've built a lot of applications. Most of them have not seen the light of the day because I didn't take them public, but I've used it for like my internal purpose and in my agency to speed up our workflows and things like that. And over time, I just learned these lessons that right now being slow in the initial bit is much better than actually doing something, then working on it for like 4 hours, and then later on realizing that you made a big mistake or you had to go back and start all over again because there was a flaw in your logic and the code is just complicated and it's not organized anymore, where you lose track of it, right? So it's very important to start with the end in mind, and if you do that, then by all means it will allow you to reach success faster because you will have much higher chances of actually launching your application because you planned it properly. Okay, so with that said, let's just keep doing, and we are very close to actually launching our application because this is all the hard work is right now just being done, and once this is out of the way, it's going to be a lot more easier. Okay, I promise. So we created a secrets agent manager as well. As you can see, there is going to be a secret manager and there's a secrets folder as well. So, which is amazing because now this will allow us to work with peace of mind, knowing that by mistake also we are not going to publish things to GitHub. Okay. One great thing that GitHub actually has is even if you by mistake send a public API key or something like that to GitHub, it understands and scans the code and it basically nullifies the API key. In most cases, it's able to nullify the API key because it is connected with all the other API providers. And if they're connected to GitHub, then that key will stop working instantly. Okay, but still, it's important for us to be diligent and not do that in the first place. It's already starting to do this. First is an initial setup phase. Need to obtain API keys. GitHub repo must be created. All secrets must be managed through secrets agent. So you will be using the Railway CLI and the GitHub CLI and things like that. So again, in case Cloud Code, in case it's the first time you're using it and it's not installed, just ask for instructions in order to set up the command line interfaces. That's it. One or two lines of code and enter. It just installs it automatically and you're good to go. Okay. Whenever stuck, just just ask questions. Okay, if you get an error, just throw it back to the AI and ask it to take a step back and think about all the ways why it could have gone wrong and what are the reasons, and give its own confidence score to the different things that it's thinking. So it will do a lot more analysis than just like going and trying to fix something and then breaking something else, okay, in the process. Fantastic. All the agents are ready, waiting. Fantastic. Okay, so let's set up a GitHub project privately. Call a poem AI poem generator. Also tell me what all railway services I will need. So I will create them and connect them. Okay. So I'm letting you know right now, a railway is a pretty nice platform for shipping applications because it allows you to actually have your storage, database, backend, front end, everything in one place. Okay. If you were to go to, let's say you don't need to use Firebase or Supabase separately for database, everything is inside Railway itself. If you use Lovable, then you know that Supabase is used for the databases, right? So I'm just right now setting up like a private GitHub repository and then also asking it what railway things are required. So it just checked that github.com, I'm already logged into my account. Fantastic. You already authenticated. I will just say create AI poem generator private. It's creating that AI poem generator for children 5 to 15 with email delivery built with Next.js, OpenRouter, Resend, and Postgres. Perfect. The repository is created. Okay. So if I right now were to go and check my GitHub, hmm, oh, there it is. AI poem generator. My repository is created. Yes. So private repository is created. So it's first of all, don't make it public. Make sure you create private repositories because in case you make a mistake, then it's only going to be inside your GitHub account and not publicly available to the internet, right? So git ignore file. The git ignore file essentially states or lists down every single file or folder that should never be pushed to GitHub. Okay, so it's a very important file that should be created because any of your environment variables, which basically means secret things that you don't want the public to know about, or special folders or documentation and things that you don't really want to release to the public, you will put all the references inside the git ignore. So it's doing that and it's already started working on the app, I guess. Add one generator, Claude secrets, guide. And it is asking for, so it forgot to add the secrets manager agent, I guess. So it has created the GitHub repository properly. The git ignore file is there. This clearly says what are the things that were never pushed inside this thing. Guide, Claude, and all these folders are already there. So once that is done, let's see. Okay, create in Railway two projects. One is a Postgres and one is a database connection. So I'll go to Railway and I will create a new, I will do an empty project. I'll go in and I will try to firstly rename it AI Poem Generator Update. Okay, that is done. And here, once inside the Railway, I'm just going to create two services. Click on create. I'm going to create a GitHub repo, and I'm going to click on AI poem generator. That's one. And I'm also going to click on create. I'm going to do Postgres database, a Postgres database. Okay, so that is also done. Surprising GitHub repo, AI poem generator. Yeah. So one is the AI poem generator and the other one is the Postgres database, and I'm going to click on deploy. And now when it's deploying, I can just come on the deployment logs and I can check what's happening. If the build fails for whatever reason, I will wait for it. No problem. I always have the logs and I can just take it to the I can take it back to the Claude code, and I can ask it what's really happening. Then I need to get the OpenRouter and resend API keys. And once that is done, then it will create this thing. So I'll just copy this and I will store it here for the time being. Meanwhile, I will go back and check what's happening. So Postgres database happened, but this one got corrupted. I click on view logs. I can copy this and ask it, hey, can you connect to my railway project? It's called AI poem generator. It has two services. One is Postgres and other is GitHub. The GitHub repo crashed. I'll give the log right now and I will press enter. Press enter. So let it read the entire log. And meanwhile, that's working. I'll go and create the API keys. I'll go to resend. I'll go to API keys. Create AI poem generator. Full access. Add. And this is the API key that I have. I'll copy it and I will paste it. One thing, do not let people see your API key like this because it's risky and it'll get abused. Okay. If people get your API key, they will just use it and do stuff. I will actually delete this later on, so I don't care. And by the time you're seeing this video, this API key would already be dead. So that's one. And the second one is I'm going to use OpenRouter. So I'm going to click on create API key again. And inside this, in the section for creating an API key, I'm going to click on create API key, AI poem generator, and I'm going to basically give a limit of $1. Okay. It never resets. I'm going to use this as the OpenRouter API key. So I have the API keys here. Okay, this is for resend. This is for OpenRouter. Again, guys, please make sure that you do not keep your API keys like this. Okay, it's not a good thing. Okay, and I just gave it like a limit of $1. So anyways, if my key gets leaked, like nobody can exploit it, right? Now, once that is done, I will go back to my railway deployment. Yeah, there it is. And I'm going to check. It got an error, so it's possibly just fixing that. So it again pushed the code to GitHub automatically. And when it pushes the code to GitHub, it will automatically deploy. That is the beauty of this setup. So once you've been able to figure out your railway GitHub connection and just working with Cloud Code, anytime it pushes any updates to GitHub, it will automatically deploy in railway. And in case you have an error, you can just put the log inside Cloud Code and it will figure out and solve your problem. So just like it did for me right now. And once it's done, I have the API keys. I need to do a few things. Okay. One is if I go to Postgres, I can click on connect. Okay. And inside the public network, you'll notice that this is the public network Postgres connection URL. I can copy this and I can also store this as well here. Same thing for this as well. Do not leak these things, because this is literally your key to accessing all your database. So in case if your database has a lot of information, somebody getting this is going to be able to just delete everything, extract everything, or do whatever they, heinous things that they can think about. So just make sure that you do not leak these things. Okay, you copy these three things and you give it here. Okay, this is my Postgres OpenRouter recent I mentioned, and I will just press enter. It should understand this and it should add these to the environment file, which is going to store all this important information. Okay, one more thing that you can see here is it is now previously which had the failed, it is now active. I can go to settings. Inside settings, you will notice that in the networking section, it gives me an option to generate domain, add a custom domain, or use TCP. I will generate domain with 8080 port, and I click on generate domain. Looks like I cannot generate domain. In most cases, if you're not able to I am not able to generate domain, because right now I am on the smaller plan of railway, and it has a limit on the number of domains I can generate. So maybe I have reached the limit, and that's the reason I can't generate it. So what I will do is I will click on custom domain, and I will see if I have a domain that's handy and I can use that temporarily. Okay, so just give me a second. For adding a domain, it will basically ask you. So let's say I add a custom domain called okay, I do poems.aifreedomclub.com, and it asks me to add a CNAME. Okay, this is very simple, guys. If you don't know how to add a CNAME record, just look up on Google or ask AI. You need to open your GoDaddy account or your Cloudflare account, wherever your DNS settings are stored, and just add this CNAME to your domain. That's it. Okay, I'm not going to record this because it might contain a lot of sensitive data, but once it's done, I'm going to tell you it's done, and I'm going to show you this record being updated. Okay, so let's say when you're updating your CNAME records in Cloudflare, for example, I'm adding CNAMEs, my subdomain is poems, and this is the target that I have to do. I'll make sure the proxy status is set to DNS only, and I'll click on save. Okay, so make sure you do this, otherwise it will not work. Okay, so uh, it should work. Domain should be connected and validating domain ownership. I will just refresh this. It should not take a long time, to be honest. It is issuing TLS certificate. That means it's found the domain. It might take some time. Waiting for DNS update. Still saying waiting. In most cases, this will take like 5 minutes or something, and it will be done. Okay, otherwise you can also just go ahead, setup is complete, as you can see, and in most cases it will work. Okay, you can see that it's coming soon, and it's created a nice little front end already, and within some time only we've been able to complete this. Okay, awesome. My domain is also connected, called poems.aifreedomclub.com. Let's go. And my emails will go from William at aifreedomclub.com to my clients, whatever, right? So I'll just mention that William as in William Shakespeare. Just keeping things fun. So update credentials with custom domain and email, update env local with production values, update railway setup documentation, verified domain DNS settings. Let's check if it's created some database. tables are still not created. So I'm assuming it's going to do that as it starts building out the application. So it's verifying the DNS settings and things like that. It's asking me that if your domain is verified or not in recent, which is already done. So I just mentioned it. Again, these verifying your domain in recent is very easy. Just signing up, adding your domain. It'll again give you like a small DNS settings to be changed. And once it's done, your domain is connected to recent. Then you can use its what do you call APIs to send emails. Okay, to connect email sending features to your applications, for example. Okay, so it's basically taking a slow process. It's checking everything, it's understanding, documenting things, and then building as it goes, right? Yes, I can. Do you see the landing page? Yes. Are all the 6 environment variables set in Railway? We can come in and check. Recent from email is William at aifreedomclub.com. Oops, sorry. I see Railway project. Yes, William. These keys need to be updated. So I just see that is asking me a question. I've created the complete development roadmap, database setup, poem generator, 1 to 2 hours. Don't worry about these hours. It says 30 minutes, 2 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours. I'm going to tell you this entire thing is going to be done in 30 minutes. Okay. So that's done. One, yes. Two, yes. Three, no. It says suggested variables, but they are not created. So they need to be done. For example, this is the data, this is the app, the backend, and inside the variables, these are suggested variables. These are not ready yet because if the variables are created, you'll not openly see these like that. Okay, this is the form, right? And this is the database. If I come in the database and I click on the database, I can see there's no tables also. Okay, so database tables are also not there, and it's not connected to the other service in Railway. And the last is Railway showing a successful deployment. Yes, Railway shows successful deployment. So I'll just enter this and it should use the Railway CLI automatically. If not, I can force it to. Please use the Railway CLI to do it. Okay, it's doing it. So yes, connect to AI poem generator. When it's jumping like this, it's just a normal thing. Do not panic because VS Code is meant for small coding tasks. Okay, but we're like pasting like bunch of code, sometimes even opening big documents in it, and it's not able to like render it properly. Sometimes it can happen that during these jumps, the files can become really overwhelmed and VS Code can actually crash. If that happens, just open this application back to the same project, start Claude itself under the Claude Code practice. Like for example, my folder is Claude Code practice. That's where I was working. I will start it's a Claude itself in there and just do Claude hyphen verbose hyphen continue. That's it. Okay. you can see that as I was telling you, it actually crashed and it stopped. Okay, this is clearly it has stopped. Okay, I can just go to new terminal. I can do Claude verbose continue. You can see that it's not working anymore. So I will just do continue and yes, proceed. When you do continue, you might notice that you can't type anything. Okay, so if that happens, just do a fake type and press enter. Like put like few characters and press enter. Just do it fake. Okay, and then it starts working. Okay, can you pick up from where you left off? You crashed last time. I can just refresh. It's still not created the database. Still not created the variables. These are railway variables that are like default, but these are the variables that we need to have. So sometimes it can happen that it gets stuck. Okay. So let's say, for example, this is actually a tricky thing for it because it has to go inside a project and select something. What I can do is I can just go to terminal. I can do railway link and inside that AI poem generator, and I will select my actual project as a link. Okay, I'll do that. I come here, I'll interrupt it. Okay, so I linked the railway service. Please create the variables. Okay, I just did it inside the same folder, right? Railway link, selected the right project, selected the right service. That's where I will create the variables. And yes. So this is where if it doesn't know a particular like command, it'll just go to the guides. It'll pick up the railway deployment guide or the CLI guide and things like that, and it'll be able to figure it out. Because see, you and I are not as competent when it comes to understanding the different terms and things that it might need. So its best thing to do is to just generate a lot of like knowledge base about certain things that you're trying to accomplish so that Claude can use that to figure out stuff if it gets stuck, right? As you can see, it's actually creating all the different variables and you will come to know that it's building. As soon as it builds, you will be able to see that they have already been created. Database URL is coming in, next URL, environment, OpenRouter, recent API key, all of these are slowly starting to come in. So it did that also. It should have created the resend from email. There it is. You can see all these are stored secretively. Okay. With the right things, I can just come in here and I can say, don't ask for like whenever it asks me to like do something, just say yes. And don't ask me in future as well. So it was able to connect to the Postgres service and it will now start creating the database as well. Very soon we'll actually be able to see the tables. Okay. So it's basically created the table with information related to the child, parents name, child age, created at all the stuff. Let me see. We can see that tables are created. Parent name, child age, created at ID, and things like that are also done. And it is now building out again from GitHub any changes that it has done. Okay. Start with the backend APIs, poem generation plus email, start with the front end form, build everything end to end. So I always like to go backend and then front end because backend kind of defines the entire functionality, right? So I'll go with do option A, then do B, and then do E to E. testing for backend and front end compatibility. Okay, so we are almost near our context and it'll basically reach the end of its context. So if that happens, don't worry, we can just it will auto compact itself and it will still process all the information, because we have been creating these different agents, and these agents have maintained all the to-dos and everything very systematically. So you should not have a problem continuing the project, okay, even after it reaches the context limit. So now it's basically creating the entire database utility, the OpenRouter integration, the email template and things like that, all the backend stuff, which most people don't see, but it's what really powers our applications and websites. An easy way that I can explain backend versus front end is, for example, let's say you're building this form, right? And this form has a lot of features, like it can send emails, it can generate, like it can collect all the information and send to an API like OpenRouter, and then get all the information and show it, right? So technically the backend is capable of doing everything, okay? But if, let's say, I were to give this to a layman, they would not be able to use it, because like you need to have like a switch or something that visually tells you what to do, right? When you see a form, you clearly know that you need to fill it, okay? But getting a application with just the backend, you might have all the functionality, but a normal person would not be able to tell whether it's a switch, whether it's a form, whether they are supposed to do something to it. And that is the reason you need to put something like a front end, like a cover on top of the lid, right? Just like if, let's say, you had a switchboard at your place and the switchboard was connected to multiple lights and fans and all of the ACs and everything, right? But if the switchboard wasn't there, you would be scared to go in and touch anything, because you're not sure if you would electrocute yourself, or if you would be able to switch on the right thing if you needed it, right? So that is why the electrician would just put like a switchboard with all the switches correctly in the right place and label them properly, so that when somebody goes, they're clearly able to say, okay, this is a fan, this is a light, right? Same thing is how a backend and front end is there. Backend has all the functionality that is required to run the application. However, if you want to make it simpler, like for a person to understand, then you need to define the front end and design it, okay? So that's why always, back end happens and then front end happens. Just allows you to build out all the functionality, and based on that, whatever is required in the front end, you can make. Hope that was a little bit of like clear as to what happening now. Now you can see that it reached this context limit and it is compacting the conversation, which is fine. It created the generate email, generate poem endpoint is already done, okay? But the send email endpoint is still remaining, which is going to be another functionality for sending the email to the parent in case they want it. So backend is getting pushed and it's building out right now. As you can see, it pushed the code to GitHub and it is automatically deploying in Railway. It failed. Okay, that's fine. I can just click on this. I can click on the logs, view logs, download, copy as plain text, and deployment failed. Must be a TypeScript or syntax issue, not something big. Failed because TypeScript can't find the type definitions for the PG package. I need to install as a dev dependency. So it's just going to add something to the package.json, like a library that was missing, essentially. If you start coding a lot with, in any of these languages, you'll realize that mostly all the common functionality is already built out and it's stored in different packages. Okay, so if you need a dictionary, for example, in your application, then you would just pull a dictionary library. If you need furniture, you would need a furniture library. If you need clothes, you'll put a clothes library, right? All of these things are already created. You don't need to recreate the logic for a furniture or clothes or dictionary, right? So similarly, whatever things are required by default, these applications or environments just pull from libraries themselves. And this is my own understanding of how I have learned. Okay, so I'm sharing this because I've gone inside the code and I've actually checked. Okay, so if you go inside the thing, you can actually check how the AI poem generator is built. Okay, you can see all the scripts I mentioned here. here. This is the node modules. So inside the script, there's a initiate a database script is there. There is a deployment status. This is a configuration script, package lock. What are these things? What is happening when, inside each of these folders, right? So it's important to keep checking and learning as you go so that over time you're able to vibe code better. Like, you can understand what problems are there or what happened, or, if something is a mistake or something is missing, you can start spotting it. Okay, it failed again, I guess. Let's go. Yeah, it failed again. Okay, I'll just do Claude verbose continue. It crashed, okay? See, this is not working, so I just did a fake type and pressed enter, then I can type again. Okay, you crash while fixing the deployment. PG to package but didn't update the package lock JSON. I need to run npm install locally to regenerate the lock file. So it's basically, from what I'm understanding, that there's a package lock JSON that needs to be created, but it needs to be run every time because you're locking whatever the dependencies are, right? So it needs to run it locally and then generate that so it can push it back to Railway. Okay. Oops. So it's building. Let's check what happens here. So it actually was deploying one of them already, which was deploying this while this new code got pushed. So let it just push, no issues. Technically, the previous one actually got success, which is nice. And let's see this one. So I think the front end is also created. If the back end was done, the front end is also created. Most of the work is already completed, and we'll just do a E2E test. Yeah, so the deployment has succeeded. Now we'll do the complete end-to-end testing. Like I said, my process, you might see a lot of vibe coding tutorials online, and my process might be a little bit more long winding and cumbersome. But I tell you what, this is with practice and coming from a person who's not a developer, right? So I'm not a developer. I don't code. I can understand things because now I've started reading so much code in the past few months of my life. I've read so much code and I can start making sense of what is written and what's really happening, and using that information sometimes to recall and things that, hey, maybe we need this, or maybe we need that, or this needs to happen. And that's purely like, my, I don't know what kind of a memory you call this, but it's just that memory that's there that's helping me to keep up to date, right? And yeah, and let's say we did that, all the work is done, so I can just head on over to this page right now. And you can see the app looks professional. It's AI poem generator, create personalized poems for children 5 to 15. How it works, customize, AI powered delivery email, powered by whatever. You can click on this. My name is Piyush. Okay. So I see a problem. I click on F12 and I see if there is any issues related to, there is a problem. So I'll just refresh this and I do F12. So I am not able to type. I am able to type, but it's white. So the problem is that the color is wrong. Okay, I can just mention this. In the front end, when I am typing, things are white, so I can't see anything. Make sure that this and other similar issues are avoided, are cleared. So I mentioned that, and I also always mention that what are other similar issues that you could have probably made, okay, that I don't know about, but it's there, right? Length, custom notes. Meanwhile, I'll just try filling it out, okay? Piyush, okay. Child name is Ved. He is 5 years old. He likes something that's rhyming, encouragement. It's playful. Length is medium. Custom notes. Uh, help my son understand the importance of saving water. Okay. So let's say I write saving water, right? And I click on generate poem. Little Wade, let's have some fun. With every drop beneath the sun, when you brush your teeth so bright, turn the tap off day or night. Water helps the flowers grow tall. Don't let it splash and waste and fall. A little bit saved is a big grand prize, like catching stars right from the skies. Be a water hero, strong and true. We know that you can do it with you. Okay, so it's a beautiful poem that it generated, right? And if I click on send via email, request invalid request data, so I will definitely work on that. Also, when I click on send email, this happens. If I go to F12, which is the console for like Chrome, I can actually copy this. These things are not from the thing, but these two errors are from this page. I can copy the errors from the console and I can just give. So front end is saying flat fields, it had some errors. So like I said, we are just purely doing some copy paste and things like that. Modify settings. If I click on this, it goes back to the create page. It's nice. And again click on generate. I can click on regenerate to use the same settings. Perfect. Let me just check railway. And just happened. Poem is sent successfully. So hold on. I will check if I get the poem in my email and I will show you guys. And this is brilliant, right? Your special poem for Ved. Your special poem for Ved is there. Hi Piyush, here's your special rhyming poem we created. Little Ved, let's have some fun with every drop beneath the sun. And that's it. Age 5 years. We hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to visit Poems or AI Freedom Club anytime to create more personalized poems made with love by AI Poem Generator, powered by AI technology. And this is an automated email. Please do not reply to this message. How cute and simple is that? And with that, we can say that we've actually successfully vibe coded a complete application, hosted it on Railway, and actually launched it. So you can understand how easy it is or how simple this is to really build applications nowadays. Even non-technical people can do it, right? If you like this video and you like my entire documentation on how I did it, like I will be sharing this link with you this artifact, which has all the information around Cloud Code and how to use it and how to install it for your own PC. Please like and subscribe to my channel so that I can be motivated to create such videos. It takes a lot of time and effort, but I'm enjoying it myself because I'm documenting my process of learning with AI and understanding how we can, all grow our businesses and grow our lives with this new technology. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.